I'm one of the Springboarders here at GirlSpring. Today, I'm here with several other Springboarders. If you guys would like to introduce yourselves, starting with Lydia.
Hi, I'm Lydia. I'm the Springboarder president.
Hello, my name is Cindy Chambers, and I am a springboarder here at GirlSpring.
Hi, my name is Iona, and I'm also a springboarder at GirlSpring.
Thank you guys. And today we are here with Meg McGlamery, the Executive Director of the Crisis Center, whose mission is to serve the unmet needs of people experiencing personal crisis or mental health issues and respond with services that promote coping, emotional health, and well-being. Today, we will ask some questions about mental health and how to stay healthy, especially during the time of a global pandemic and nationwide protests.
Would you mind telling us what your job entails at the Crisis Center?
Absolutely, and thank y'all for having me on today, and especially to talk about this subject that's so important right now. Um, as the executive director of the Crisis Center, my main job is to ensure our organization is running at the highest level possible. We have 4 different divisions here at the Crisis Center with 9 different programs. So there's a lot of moving pieces going on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every single day of the year. So there is always someone here in this building, even during COVID-19. We are here to help those who are struggling with all kinds of different crises, or crises, I think is the proper way to say that, so forgive me. Um, a day in my life never looks the same. I go from fundraising to meeting with community partners to writing policies. But my very favorite part of my job is to support the amazing staff people who are actually the ones serving people every day. So we have around 50 people who work here, and they have big hearts and open minds, and I just love talking with them and processing with them and making sure that we're doing all that we can for our community.
Yeah, you seem like super busy and focused on a bunch of different things, which is amazing.
Yeah, I can really tell how passionate you are about mental health, Meg, which leads me to the second question. In GirlSpring, we also talk about the importance of mental health, and our website has resources for maintaining a positive mental mindset. So, what resources do the Crisis Center offer to teenage girls?
Well, the first thing that I think is the most important one is a program called U Talk. It's a hotline that someone may text, call, or contact through online chat. So we have crisis counselors who are age 16 and above answer those calls or answer those texts and just talk with people who are struggling. And we're here to listen and to support. We're not advice givers. We want to hear people with unconditional positive regard and help with the next steps. We also have programs for people who've been sexually assaulted. And, you know, it's clear your organization tackles some really hard issues that we have to talk about. And so I'm glad that y'all are willing to hear more about this particular program called Rape Response. We provide free counseling for people who have been sexually assaulted. We have a 24-hour hotline. We also provide advocacy, going to court with people, going to doctor's appointments, whatever they need. And then we also have a program where people can come here after a sexual assault, and we collect the forensic medical needs after that to make sure people are physically okay. And there is an advocate right beside that person through the whole process to support them and let them know it's not their fault and they didn't deserve it. And then finally, for this population, we go into the schools and we like to talk about prevention of sexual assault, prevention of suicide, heavy topics, but important. And when we approach this, we really take the approach of how can people be an empowered bystander? So it's not finger waggy, because that doesn't do anything, and that's not how we roll. It really is more about how you can support your friends and yourself. We forget to listen, and people fear that time where there's silence,
Mhm.
and silence is okay, you know? Sometimes we don't have the right words. We don't need to have the exact right words. It's really about being present with them.
And if I might, Meg, as sort of a follow-up question to what I just asked, in your experience, what issues do teen girls typically call in the most about?
That's a great question. We have heard just about everything. Of course, I say that, and then there's something that comes up. I'm like, oh my goodness, why didn't I think about that? But mainly, we hear about problems with friends, problems at home, abusive relationships, and really, unfortunately, we have a lot of people contact us who are experiencing suicidal ideation.
Yeah, those are all very heavy issues that I think that a lot of teen girls could benefit from just like knowing that they're not alone and they're not the only ones experiencing these.
By having also kids who are not only 18 and up, but 16 and up respond to those kinds of things, that can make those girls feel less alone in those issues because those issues are very, very present um, in our community, in our state, and being able to be vocal about them is something that's powerful in itself.
That's a great point. If I may add, we have to normalize this because it's true. We are all struggling with different things, especially right now. And, if we don't talk about it, then it seems like it's something we have to hide or be ashamed of. And that's exactly the opposite of who we want to be.
Have the types of calls changed since the start of the pandemic or since the start of the Black Lives Matter protest? And if so, how?
Yeah, I think that we have seen our calls and chats become heavier during this pandemic. There's a lot of fear and anxiety, the unknown. And here we are isolating during this, and it's hard because you don't have your normal support system in place. So our calls have doubled um, since the beginning of the pandemic. And then with the start of the Black Lives Matter protest, I think we have seen more grief in our calls. There's a lot of how how can I be a better ally, and how do I help the Black and brown communities more? And if it's a person of color, then the struggle of how do I deal with this, that's happening all around me. So I'm glad that people are reaching out to talk about these. It's so important. And we are in this together. And I hope that by reaching out, people can have some peace.
Wow, yeah. What you said about the calls doubling during this time, that really says a lot about everything that's going on right now.
And to add on to this, I know that like calling into the crisis center might be frightening for some people at first. So, besides calling into the crisis center, could you share some other tips for de stressing?
Absolutely. So, calling in is scary. I know, like, even when I order a pizza, I'm doing that online, right? So, that's the good thing about UTalk because they actually have the text option and also the online chat option. You can just go to our webpage and get connected. Um, but beyond that, I think it's so important for each of us to think about self care. A lot of times people hear that and they think that it sounds selfish, but it's really self preserving. So, doing little things like having a routine and exercising and talking to your friends, those are ways that you can decompress. And it's funny, I just listened to a podcast about mental health just recently, a friend sent to me. And it was on a day where I was really struggling. And I thought it was amazing that she chose that time to send it to me. Um, but the person he was talking about self care said that one thing you can do, and I'm pretty cheesy, I'll have to admit, so I have done this. If you take post-it notes and write things that make you happy, things that remind you of the hope to have. So on my computer right now, I have all these different people's names, people who work with me at the crisis center, friends outside of the crisis center. And specifically, I've even written down dates and keywords from conversations because that really has grounded me in a way that I've needed. And I know that love and support is there even through this very difficult time.
Yeah, I'd say having a support group is like really important, especially for like girls our age, to know that they have support and that they're not the only ones feeling this way. So that's really great.
That was some really good advice, Meg. Thank you. And even I, for my own mental health, one thing I've done, I've like taken a bunch of notes and written positive things down myself and put in a box. So that's a really helpful way. Thank you, Meg.
Oh, I'm so glad you're doing that. That's so awesome.
Thank you.
I love the concept of just powerfully simple things that can really uplift you, and because those are the little things that really keep you together in these times. And in the past year, in the past few months, there are a lot of things have been going on, especially for different communities in our country. What advice would you have for teen girls who are struggling with their own mental health issues during this time?
The main thing that I want teen girls to know is that it's normal and understandable, that you're not alone in how you feel, and that there are resources to help you with next steps. So, our mental health is so important. So glad y'all are talking about this because it's just as important as our physical health, right? So, we got to take care of ourselves and we got to look out for our friends.
That's amazing. And thank you once again for taking the time to join us today, Meg. I know I definitely learned a lot more about the resources of the Crisis Center now than I did 20 minutes ago. So, to conclude, we have one last question.
How can people and volunteers help and get more involved with Birmingham's Crisis Center?
Ooh, I love that question. So, we are always looking for people who have that open heart and are non judgmental to help us on the lines. And that can be, all different ways through text, chat, and also on the hotline. So, we accept volunteers after a screening process, of course, for people 16 and older. So if there's anyone who's interested in that kind of work, they can go to our website and click to be a volunteer, and it has all the information you'll need.
So, thank you so much for meeting with us and helping us break down the stigma, especially now surrounding mental health. And thank you for providing the resources and telling us more about that needed to create a support system. So, also thank you to Springboarders Lydia, Iona, and Suniti for being here as well. Remember to check out the Crisis Center of Birmingham's website for more information, helpful resources, and how to get involved. Also, please check the GirlSpring website for tips on how to manage stress. Thank you, everyone.